Hey y'all. Um, uh, it's been a while. So, um, in the last what is it? The last couple of months, I've largely just been sitting indoors, trying to avoid all the sick people, trying to avoid contracting this COVID mess. Um, Doing everything I can to essentially stay alive, all the while making a half-hearted effort at trying to find a new job. I say half-hearted because I really just don't want to go out in this mess. Got a call back this morning from a lead, an HR representative from one of the factories around here, offering a bunch of 12-hour positions, and I mean, I don't. I tell you though, I just I don't like the idea of having to work 12 hours a day uh, in any shift. It's like I'm so used to working an 8 hour shift or a 10 hour shift that 12 hours just I don't know. It's like the last time I had a job in which I worked 12 hours, it was like I was so fucking tired all the time that it was like after 8 months of that shit I was done. Now, I mean, I'll work, man. I'll work my ass off, but it's like if I have to do a 16-hour shift more than twice a week, um, I have to tap out. That being said, I have no problem working 7 days a week as long as I can work a regular 8 hour shift. I'm the kind of guy who actually will work 7 days a week. I did it for like 7 years straight. It's like I'd work 10 months out of 12 months out of a year because it's Alabama. You basically have to work all the time if you're in a factory job. If you're in production work, that's what you do. You either have a factory job that can allow you to make a living in this area, in which case you have no personal time outside that job. You have no way to plan your life around that job, or or you have a shitty job that gives you minimum wage, and you don't have the money to enjoy your time off, even though you have a little bit more time off. Supposedly you have more time off, but you don't have the money to enjoy it. So it's like around here it's been that way for like generations. It's Alabama. We're the most impoverished region in the industrialized world according to the UN. So yeah, it's cheap labor pool. Uh, we're Alabama is so fucking impoverished that the Koreans and the Latin American countries use us as a cheap labor pool. Wrap your mind around that one. Wrap your mind around that. So, I'm thinking about just giving that guy a call back, seeing seeing what he has available. Checking to see what he has up. Farmavite, from what I hear, is a good place to work, but I don't know. It's like I have several other folks who are offering who floated the idea of hiring me on for jobs that would entail a lot less hours but comparable pay. So uh, it's like right now beggars can't be choosers, but I'm not exactly desperate either because I have money. I'm basically just sitting on a bunch of money from my last job, and I've been just living it up, trying to get back in shape. Working out every day I can. I've doing what I can to like get my cardio levels back up so that I can be worth a damn for whatever job I get. I mean, I can show a lot of dedication to something when I actually get into it. It's probably not the best idea to go out right now and go to the gym because of COVID and everything. But, it's a risk I took, that I've taken to get myself to the point where I'm actually useful. I've never been this heavy before. It's like I weigh. I'm pushing the scales at like 240 plus, And for years and years, it was like I was never over 180 pounds. So these last few years, I've actually had to get used to standing on these feet, and I've always had relatively bad feet, especially my left foot. I'm missing cartilage in my left foot, so it's like nerves on nerves, and I have a couple of bones that are actually fused together in there. So it's like I don't like getting over a certain amount of weight and then standing around all day in one spot. But you know what? I did it for years anyway. You know, it's the pain of standing around on concrete floors. You know, rubber mat's going to help you with that. So uh, so I'm essentially just trying to get it back to where I can do this without having to worry about my body weight putting so much stress on my knees and my feet. Uh, but yeah, that's that's basically been my life for the past uh, 5 6 months. Um, uh, Ever since the layoffs, yeah. So, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. Yeah, I'm like, you can tell this is like a super shitty impromptu video. um, so that happened. Biden chose Kamala Harris, which anyone with two eyes in their head could have seen coming. Anyone with two brain cells could have predicted that. So the DNC and the Clinton machine, the Washington Democratic machine, once again proving that they couldn't give two shits about the left. They've spent the last 4 years poisoning the well against us, uh, turning everyone who watches cable news against us, uh, against Sanders, against Democratic. Well, maybe not against democratic socialism, but definitely against the idea of having anyone who's on the actual left uh, at the head of the ticket, and and essentially and essentially ramming two people down the throats of the Democratic Party primary voters, one of which uh, one of which had her campaign collapse before the voting ever began because she couldn't raise any money and wound up having to drop out. And the other one, and the other one being someone who only got the nomination because Barack Obama went behind everyone's back and forced all the pressured all of the other centrist candidates out of the race, and told and essentially got everybody to coalesce behind Biden, even though Biden didn't even campaign in any of the Super Tuesday states for over a month and has no grassroots support whatsoever. Uh, I'm calling it now. Donald Trump, he's going to get reelected. And if he doesn't get reelected, it's going to be real close because Biden's poll numbers, they're going down, man. They're going down in battleground states now. His lead is diminishing. He was coasting on a 10 point lead in like 5 out of 6 battleground states after Donald Trump's little stunt with the tear gas and shooting them into the protesters just so he could get that photo op at the church and everything. It's just and his shitty response to COVID-19. But there's only so much that hiding Joe Biden from the public can really do for Joe Biden, especially since he has to come out of his basement eventually. I get that the DNC, this is their plan all along, trying to use Joe Biden as a Trojan horse to get the Clinton money matrix preferred candidate, the correct the record person, the person who checks off all the id poll boxes, the superficial performative identity politics, woke politics candidate, trying to get trying to get her into the White House via Joe Biden old age attrition. But I just and just banking on the fact that people are so terrified of a second Trump term, understandably, of course, just to ram these kinds of people down our throats. Kamala Harris has no fucking popular support whatsoever. I mean, she's so disliked that she couldn't even outpoll Biden after basically putting his campaign on its hands and knees and taking it out executioner style. She couldn't even ride on that. to get ahead of him. And yet somehow they want to make this bitch the VP. They want to make this person who's supposed to pass for Mrs. I'm going to use truancy laws to put poor people in prison so I can support the prison industrial complex. Uh, just no, no. Uh, if I vote for a female VP woman of color, it's going to be Angela Walker because it's going to be the Green Party ticket. I'm not voting for Joe Biden, the Joe Biden Kamala Harris ticket. I'm just not, and neither are legions of left wing voters. People seem to underestimate just how many people are preparing to vote Green Party after what the DNC did. Joe Biden, the DNC, they had one chance to keep the people who only stayed on board with the Democratic Party takeover idea of Justice Democrats, to keep them in the camp of voting for the Democratic candidate. They had one chance to do this. They still had hope even after they fucked over all the Sanders supporters. Even after they closed down 50 polling stations in Greenville, South Carolina, the only major Sanders stronghold in South Carolina. They had, even after they pulled all of that, even after they pulled the shit with Shadow Incorporated, an acronym in Iowa, so as to kill Bernie Sanders' campaign, they had, after all of this, they had one last shot to at least keep some people who were on the fence about just leaving the Democratic Party permanently, or at least doing it for this cycle. They had one shot to get those people back in the game, and they blew it. They decided to go with a cop, someone who essentially made life for the working people of color in California an absolute living hell. Someone like that. They made her their VP. I mean, on the one hand, a part of me thinks they're trying to lose to Trump just to just just so they can have an excuse to turn around and blame the left for Joe Biden's loss. You know, but on the other hand, I another part of me is like, maybe that was the goal all along. Just barely slip in, uh, show that, just divorce the Democrats from the left and just go and be the new center right party for sane Republicans, and just use that vote blue no matter who shit as a way of stringing people along as long as they could until people finally wised up and left the Democratic Party altogether. So, if you haven't already noticed, I'm endorsing Howie Hawkins. I'm officially coming out and endorsing Howie Hawkins and Angela Walker. I was already planning on voting for them to begin with, but uh, I'm officially coming out in favor of their campaign starting now. I've made a few contributions to their campaign, and it sucks that they're not going to be on the ballot in maybe 5 or 6 states. But you know what? It is what it is. It is what it is. I mean, they're still going to be on the ballot in more states than Jill Stein was. So that's a plus, I guess. And and they're still going to be on the ballot in enough states that they can actually get the 5% threshold, meet the 5% threshold, so that the Green Party can get federal matching funds in the next election cycle. The Democratic Party, at least for this election, maybe for all future elections, if the DNC's attempts at trying to make the Democratic Party into the new neocon party are anything to go by, the Democrats are essentially a lost cause, at least as far as the presidential ticket goes. Now I still think we should support Democratic primary challengers, progressive primary challengers against sitting conservative, blue dog, and corporate centrist Democrats at every turn, if for no other reason than to reduce the number of public officials that the centrists can use as a bench for future high profile offices, for future high profile elections, just to get rid of any possible recruitment pool they might have. But at the same time, I do believe that it is in our best interest to build up the Green Party, because the Democrats long term, they're just nah. Either way, whether Trump gets reelected or whether Kamala Harris winds up in the White House via Biden having a stroke or a heart attack or being taken out with the 25th Amendment, the left is going to wind up out in the cold. We're not going to be given any kind of we're not they're just they're not going to listen to us. It's over. And just it's over. There's the Democrats are a failed, or they're a lost cause. It's futile. We might as well just start building a new party. No amount of us trying to save the Democratic Party from itself, or for that matter, of us trying to save all these damn wine aunts and boomers from themselves. None of this is going to help us. All right, there are too damn many white people in this country who, even the ones that vote Democratic, especially the older ones, who want to view themselves as being oppressed. You know, they all want to have the oppressed badge and wear it. It doesn't matter whether it's right wing white nationalists and right wing evangelicals, or whether it's the woke scold id pol crowd that sits around screaming and calling everybody who talks about the economic aspects of our situation who a bunch of class reductionists. Either way, stupid ass white people, man. Nothing's changed. Nothing has changed since 2000. It's the same fucking thing. You know, it's like the only thing we really have to look forward to is waiting for enough old centrists and people who bought into the Democratic Party political conventional wisdom narrative pushed by all these corporate centrist surrogates on MSNBC and CNN. The only thing we can do to really defeat them is to just keep winning down ticket races everywhere we can, build up the Green Party as an alternative, and dig in for the long haul by trying to wait them out. They got to die of old age eventually. Joe Biden, I think the centrist wing understood this. This is why they did what they did, is because they understood that this was the last chance they were going to get someone like Joe Biden or Kamala Harris into the White House and sabotage the left before the country swung back in the other direction toward the far right again. They understood that they had to force Kamala off on us in order to protect their privilege. Voters be damned. The youth vote be damned. This entire election cycle has just been living proof that all these older conservative voting Democrats who bought into the politics of the Clinton age, you know, they like to say that Republicans are stuck in the 1980s. Well, I'd say that particular generation of Democrats are every bit as stuck in that era. They're not going to grow up. They're not. Their character development is stunted in that time frame, that time period, and they're not going to move on. They're not going to come around. They're always going to turn around and regurgitate whatever the fuck MSNBC and CNN and Fox News and ABC feed them. They're always going to turn around and say that the progressive candidate in any election is demanding too much, even though what we on the left want is what every other industrialized nation already has and has had for decades. But they've been inoculated since the fucking Red Scare to hate us, to essentially view us with distrust. The well was poisoned against us from the get-go. And the only hope we have now is to outweight them. And as much as I hate to say this, Donald Trump winning re-election might be the only way to keep Kamala Harris out of the presidency so that she can't lock it up for the centrist pro-corporate wing of the Democratic Party as a way of keeping the progressives out in 2024. I I don't like I don't like the idea of Donald Trump being able to lock in the right wing in the judiciary system for another 4 years, but he Donald Trump's already got 200 federal court appointments since he's been in office. The GOP, they've already got the judiciary. So for all these older Democrats, centrists, and naive woke skull type liberals to sit there and say, well, if you don't show up, we're going to lose the judiciary. They're basically threatening us with something that's already happened. We don't let them con you. Don't budge an inch. If you're preparing to vote for Howie Hawkins, if you're prepared to vote for Howie Hawkins and Angela Walker and the Green Party, don't let these people con you. If you're on the left, do not let these people scare you back in line, because they're threatening you. They're threatening you with the possibility of something happening that's already happened. They're holding it over your head. We have lost the judiciary for about 30 to 40 years as it is, and Donald Trump, he's got all the federal court appointments he needs. Any more after this would be completely pointless, but he'll get them anyway. Either way, we're going to be out in the cold in the judiciary front for about, for at least another generation, regardless. And even then, and even before Donald Trump and Mitch McConnell managed to walk away with the judiciary system, the so-called liberal judges voted with conservative judges 80% of the time, so we weren't getting anything. So you can't threaten us with something that we never had to begin with. So I say stand strong and fight hard and try to get as many people who are planning to write Bernie in to instead at least try to talk to them and get them to come around on voting for Howie Hawkins and Angela Walker. We need to get the Green Party over 5%. Come hook or crook, we need to get them over the 5% threshold, because we need a fallback point. We need a party that we can at least work with, who want our votes, who are willing to run on the issues that we want them to, and who will get elected based on our small donation metric. It ain't the Democrats, or at least it's not the those who lead the Democratic Party. Justice Democrats, we can work with them. We can work with Greens. We can work with the PSL, the Peace Socialist and Liberation Party. We can work with them, but we cannot work with the Democratic Party machine in Washington. We cannot work with the DNC. We cannot work with Third Way or the Blue Dogs. It's just this, and we need to do everything we can to short circuit any attempt by Jeff Weaver and David Brock to take down third party attempts. There's a massive groundswell of left wing millennials, Gen X, and Zoomers who are prepared to vote for Howie Hawkins, who are prepared to look for a new avenue, at least. We don't need the DNC. They never wanted our voice. They only wanted our votes. They wanted our votes without having to give anything up to get them. They see our votes as a means of legitimizing their own power. So going forward, I say we tear the legs out from under their power structure. I say we give them a reason to complain. If they want to blame us for Donald Trump getting reelected, regardless of what we do, hey, I say we give them a reason to bitch. I say we give them a reason to moan. I say we give them a reason to complain. Because God knows they've given us a reason to. They've gone above and beyond to rob us of our voice, to marginalize our vote. They spent years talking about the Republicans voter suppression tactics, voter ID laws, voter roll purges, etc., etc., closing down precincts, and then they basically do the same damn thing in places like Texas and South Carolina right before the Democratic primaries, just so they could rob us of our vote. Look at the damn exit polls. I mean, the exit polls in Texas were like 10 points. The discretions were like 10 points there. I mean, according to the UN, it's like if your exit poll discrepancies are more than 4%, that's supposed to be a clear indication of election fraud. Biden is an illegitimate candidate, and by extension, so is Kamala Harris. These people have no popular support, and moreover, Kamala Harris, her fan base, the fan base she did have during the primaries, fucking hated Bernie Sanders and his supporters. They hated us. This wasn't just salting our this wasn't just salting our wounds. This was a knife in the back. Seriously, fuck these people. Howie Hawkins 2020. Howie Hawkins 2020. Angela Walker 2020. Let's make this shit happen. We don't. All we need is 5%. All we need to do is get them over 5%, and we'll be in a position to where we'll be able to have the Green Party on the ballot in all 50 states, and we'll be able to get 10 to 15% in the 2024 election. We're planting seeds so that we can grow a garden. Let's make this shit happen. Peace out, people.